All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA regular season video. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 out of the 5 games from this past weekend. That's Cavs versus Pistons, Nuggets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Spurs in the Garden to play the Knicks, the Timberwolves versus the Nuggets, and then lastly, I will briefly go over 76ers versus Boston Celtics. We also have some pressing Boston Celtics rumors that are going around, so I want to talk about that more than I want to talk about the game. So we will talk about that stuff when it comes up. If you like what I say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So we're gonna get into these games, but first, I have a question for you guys. I have a pressing question that I've been meaning to ask. I'm going to record an intro, or not an intro, an intro to the channel. So when you click on the channel, you will see a little preview of what the channel is about, what I'm about, and all that stuff. If you guys would like that, or you like the way the channel is laid out already, that's perfectly fine. Just a thought I wanted to put out there. I'll record it anyway, and then you let me know down in the comments whether you like an intro sort of to the channel when you click on my channel, or you just like you like the way it's laid out already, with all the new stuff at the top, popular, and then I believe playlists at the bottom of that. So yeah, let me know down below. Anyways, let's get into this weekend's games. We had a heater of a weekend. We had a really good weekend of hoops. Again, we're going to talk about 4 out of the 5 games. The first one up is Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. And this game was interesting for many reasons. One, on the Cavs side, no Donovan Mitchell, no James Harden, both out this game, and they almost won it. And the other the other storyline is the Pistons needed a almost Cade Cunningham triple double game, and they almost needed a Jalen Duren 20 by 20 game. So for both sides, this was a little disappointing for the Pistons that they couldn't just run over this Cleveland Cavaliers team, but also very positive for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the regard of them not having either of their backcourt starters, and they almost won this game. And the Pistons won this game in overtime, 122 to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 119. And a lot of these games I'm going to talk about coming up in this game, there's going to be things that I like to call shenanigans, extracurricular activities, um, just things that happen that sort of are unlucky or lucky for either team. And in this one, down the stretch of this game, the Pistons just couldn't. Well, the Pistons couldn't seem. It seemed like they weren't going to be able to close this one out. It looked like the Cavaliers were going to win in regulation. It seemed as if the Detroit Pistons were a bit overwhelmed. They almost got smacked over the head with a hammer, and they were just disoriented almost this whole game. And then towards the end, they got some lucky calls, or some, I shouldn't say lucky, fortunate calls down the stretch to help them go to overtime, in which they prove they are still the better team, as they should be with a fully healthy roster. Going through some of their numbers here, Cade Cunningham, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 turnovers, not great. Took 3 threes, made none of them, 11 to 21. Not a particularly convincing MVP case for Cade after this game, but nevertheless put up enough points to help get the team the win. He did indeed foul out of this game. I believe that was in regulation, so he played 37 minutes. Probably was going to play upwards of 40 to 45 minutes this game. Didn't quite get there. They had to close out the game without him. Jalen Duren, the other All-Star for this team, 33 points, leading. Did he lead both teams in scoring? Yes, leading both teams in scoring. Had a really phenomenal physical game like he likes to play. 16 rebounds to go along with those 33 points. 11 for 19. 1 steal, 3 blocks. Very, very. This sounds crazy. Very average game for Jalen Duren. Just all force, all muscle, all power. Very good. Tobias Harris, 11 points. Had some clutch buckets. I shouldn't say clutch. Timely buckets throughout the course of the end of the regulation. to help get the Pistons close within reach. Duncan Robinson, 8 points. Okay, enough. Asor Thompson, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals on the night, and 3 personal fouls. So smart defender out there. And then the the Pistons didn't get a lot off the bench. They got Paul Reed, 4 points. They got Ron Holland, 12, which is the highest score off the bench. Karis LeVert. Yeah, Karis. That's how you spell Karis. I didn't realize that's how you spell Karis. 1 point. Javonte Green, 2 points. But the man of that night that sent the game to overtime on a decisive call, on a little bit of a controversial call, a half court heave for him to try to make the shot at half court. Did not make the shot. Got fouled. Went to the line. Made three of his free throws. Ended the game with 8 points. Dennis Jenkins, um, a just improbable call. Um, I was I thought this game was over. I had gotten up from where I was laying down. I got up, went outside my room to do something. I still had the game volume on, so I was listening to it to close out the game, and then you heard the announcers go crazy. And I ran back. I ran back in my room. I was like, "What happened?" And then I see Dennis Jenkins at the free throw line. I'm like, "What did they foul him on the on a half court heave?" That's exactly what they did, and it ended up biting the Cavs in the butt because they would have won this game in regulation. It was essentially over, and they were unfortunate enough to get called on that, and Dennis Jenkins was lucky enough to get the foul called when they needed it the most, or this game was over. For the Cleveland Cavaliers in a loss, however, Sam Merrill, 20 points, 4 of 10 from three, not particularly great, but not particularly bad either. Dennis Schroeder, 12 points versus old team in the Pistons. Evan Mobley, 23 points, 12 rebounds. Jared Allen, 25 points, 9 rebounds. Your center and forward combo, your two remaining All Stars, showed out as much as they could. My favorite Cavalier, Jalen Tyson, 15 points, 4 7 from three, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and almost fouled out of this game. But he indeed did try his butt off, which I always appreciate from Jalen Tyson. And then Thomas Bryant got some actual minutes, 13 points, 8 rebounds. I feel like I haven't seen Thomas Bryant play basketball in forever. He's just been sitting on the Cavs bench. Finally got some burn the other night. And then Craig Porter, Tyrese Proctor, a combined 9 points on the night off the bench. Did not shoot the ball well. Craig Porter did play make supremely well. One of his better playmaking games, in my opinion, that I've seen him play. 12 assists on the night that night. And this was just a physical game for both teams. You could tell that the Pistons sort of took this game lightly when they maybe shouldn't have. They still have two of their starters in the starting lineup. I would say maybe if they only had Evan Mobley or just Jared Allen, maybe I could excuse maybe like the little disorienting beginning to this game that the Pistons had, but they should have come out a bit more prepared, and I don't think that's on the coach. I just think that's on the players' mentality coming into this game. You're coming off a high of being really good at home. You're 24-7 at home. You're like, this is an easy game for us. They don't have their two main scorers on this team. We can come out here and win this game fairly easily. Cavs said, no, hold on. We are 17-13 away in away games, so they play somewhat adequately on the road. Um, Still almost stole this game from them, and the Pistons move to 44-14 on the season, and the Cleveland Cavaliers remain somewhere between 37 and 24. Or that's not the right way to say that. Remain. I always struggle to find a good word. I don't want to say regress is the word, but they just remain afloat at 37 and 24. That's the word I should use. That's the termage I should use there. Moving on to our next game, one of two games that involve the Nuggets that we're going to talk about today, the Denver Nuggets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now this one, this one definitely had what you would call extracurricular activities, lots of shenanigans. Um, the big thing that I want to talk about that went viral on the internet, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Reddit, all that stuff, is the scuffle. Yeah, I would. This qualifies as a scuffle. No punches were thrown. No like uh, aggressive actions were were overly dramatic. I would say the scuffle between Lou Dort and Nikola Jokic during this game, in I believe around the 8 minute mark in the third quarter. Um, Insane. I've never seen Nikola Jokic like that. Middle of your screen, Lou Dort on Nikola Jokic, number 15. I don't believe it was that play in particular. It was later. The play was the Nuggets were inbounding the ball. Lou Dort was in the front court trying to intercept Jokic if he was getting the ball to bring the ball up like he normally does. But the inbounder passed it to somebody else, and Lou Dort just kind of stood there near the 3 point line as Nikola Jokic was like looking at his inbounding teammate, seeing if he would pass him the ball. And Lou Dort kind of just like leans back with his, I believe it's his left foot, um, purposefully in front of Jokic's path of movement towards the mid court line, and essentially trips him. Some people like always trying to like check him, trying to like tweak his knee or something. I think it was just dead ass, just trying to trip him, which is dirty into itself. But Nikola Jokic just falls down, gets up, knows exactly who tripped him. Lou Dort's the only Thunder player down there in the front court. Gets up, like gets in his face, and then Lou Dort's teammate Jalen Williams, Jaylin Williams, Jalen Williams, comes down and like grabs Jokic by like his jersey, like literally like grabs him. I don't think he shook him, but like looked like he tried to shake him. Nikola Jokic tries to get his hands off of him himself, and then he has this like this grin was like diabolical. It was a diabolical grin from Nikola Jokic. Like, stop it right now. You don't know who you're messing with. Nikola Jokic is like almost 7 foot tall, like almost like 300 pounds. Like Nikola Jokic is a big guy, even compared to Jalen Williams, who's also a big human. Um, and it was a diabolical grin and just insane like look in Nikola Jokic's eyes. Um, After this altercation happened. And Lou Dort was ejected from the game. It was a flagrant foul penalty two. He was ejected from the game immediately, and there were more sort of things going on after this game. It felt like a playoff game. It was the intensity was sort of dampered, but then amped back up. Obviously, this was indeed a overtime game, and it was so there was 8 minutes left in the third, 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter, obviously. So that'd be like what, a 20 minute game plus the 25. So for the rest of the 25 minutes of this game, of game time, it was all just like intense, sort of like um, playoff atmosphere with a bit of extra stuff going on. But this was also a playoff rematch from last year, where it did get hot at times last year, and this was a game where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did return, and it was MVP versus MVP, Nikola Jokic versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this game, and I will say for the Thunder, who did not have Shai for the overtime duration of this game, he played um, 34 minutes in his return, 36 points, 9 assists, only one turnover, no foul. So very smooth, clean game from Shai in his return. No rust to knock off or anything. And he fit seamlessly back in. It was him, um, Kason Wallace, Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein in the starting lineup. And they did their thing. I mean, Shai carried the load as he usually does. Chet came in with a sturdy 15 points, a career high on rebounds, 21 rebounds, one of the best rebounding games I've seen from Chet. Just being active and being engaged the whole time on that end of the ball. Um, he had 19 defensive rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds. Amazing game on that end defensively, gathering those boards for Chet. Um, 9 rebounds for Isaiah Hartenstein. I feel like Isaiah Hartenstein has kind of become redundant at this point. 8 rebounds for him as well. Kind of a little redundant at this point for the Thunder. I said this earlier in the year as well because it's very obvious they're going to have to pick who stays on this team to stay under. I believe it's the second apron in going forward in the future. And Isaiah Hartenstein might be one of those guys. And nights like that night where Chet has like 20 rebounds and you can see him not as a regular 20 and 20 guy, but as a guy who gets you 15 and 15 um, on his worst nights. I think that's sort of signaling to Isaiah Hartenstein maybe you're not going to be on this team in the future, the long term future, obviously. Um, and you losing Dort, like we talked about, who I want to talk about in depth a little bit more towards the end of this segment. 8 points, 6 rebounds, 28 minutes, 1 steal, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 5 personal fouls. He was going crazy. Even before that whole Nikola Jokic thing in the second half. And off the bench, Jalen Williams, 12 points, 5 rebounds. Jared McCain, the steal of the century at the trade deadline, 14 points, 2 of 3 from three. Hit some really good ones. I don't remember if it was to buffer the lead for them or gain the lead for them, but he wasn't afraid of the moment. And then the biggest impact player of this game, Alex Caruso, doing his best mid-season playoff form, best version of himself. 12 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 2 steals. The box score does not justify or visualize or however you want to say it, how important Alex Caruso was in this game to close out this game, to possibly win the game in regulation, but definitely give the Oklahoma City Thunder the momentum to continue to play hard in the overtime duration without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And he was absolutely huge, and he is worth every penny that this team pays him. Now, before I talk about the Nuggets, I do want to stay in the Thunder and talk about losing Dort, who has been in some hot water for not some. He's fully in a boiling hot pot of water right now. Um, Dubbed the new dirtiest player in the NBA, stealing the crown from Draymond Green, one of my favorite defenders. And as one of my favorite defenders, Draymond Green, I can understand sort of what Thunder fans see in losing Dort, but also what every other fan base sees in losing Dort, which is, I think, a dirty player. Um, there's no denying what losing Dort is. What he does when he's not engaged in these other things is a good defender. When he gets to be dirty, when he gets to trip people, when he gets to drag people down by their shoulders, when he gets to get under people's feet, when they're shooting the three, is not great. And if that's what Luzang wants to be his what known for in his career, fine. That can be what he's known for. But what everybody else sees is what Thunder fans don't see. They trying to justify it. They try to be like, you misunderstanding him, this and that. Losing Dort is a dirty player, and he's one of the few dirty players that gets away with it. And that night he did not get away with it. I think because it was on an MVP, because it was a guy who already missed a good chunk of the season that they ejected. They ejected Dort, but if it would have happened to anybody else, I don't think Lu Zhang would have been ejected. I don't know. I Lu Zhang is such an interesting case because they have Alex Caruso on this team as well, who is beloved almost. Like Alex Caruso does do some dirty, interesting things, but for the most part, like 85, 90% of the time, Alex Caruso is a fine defender. He plays hard. He plays the right way. He doesn't do all these other things. He just is smart about it. And Luzang wants to be clever when he should just be smart. He doesn't need to be clever. Just needs to be smart. You know, Alex Caruso is smart. He's a smart defender. Luzang tries to be this creative, like savant, like reinventing defense, and he's just not that. He was never that. He did it once in 2020 when he guarded James Harden and made a name for himself, and that's how he got his contract, and that's how he got a job in the NBA. But everything after that has just been like uh, not positive PR for him, and you know Thunder fans trying to justify it every step of the way since 2020. But yeah, moving on to the Nuggets. The through line through both of these games that we're going to talk about here for the Nuggets is that they have everybody back essentially. Jamal Murray was a little under the weather this game, dealing with the flu, I believe it was. Um, but the through line through both these games for the Nuggets is they're without Aaron Gordon, and Aaron Gordon is a big piece of what they do. And their starting lineup this game was Jamal Murray, Julian Strawther, Christian Braun, Cameron Johnson, and Nikola Jokic. Um, three of those people were in double digits. Christian Braun returning from injury a couple weeks ago, back into form a little bit. Still needs to um, get back in rhythm with the 3 point shot, but otherwise, the cutting, everything else he does, fine. 23 points for him, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. Jamal Murray, under the weather, can kind of excuse a otherwise docile performance for him, which was a little bit inconsistent and missing some really gimme easy buckets. He did have 39 this game, leading both teams in scoring. So I would just, if the efficiency was a little better, I could see the outcome of this game being different. But he was under the weather, so I'll give him a pass on that. Nikola Jokic, 23 points, 17 rebounds, 14 assists, 1 steal, and 9 for 25, 2 of 10. That's field goal and 3 point. Not his most overwhelming, dominant performance. Sort of a bit disappointing in a way. But when you have a guy like Cameron Johnson, who was a big offseason acquisition and just can't manage to do anything, except maybe hit like 2 threes a game when he was normally like a 4-5 three three he was normally a 4-5 through made threes a game guy. Now going back to two is a bit disappointing. Um, and I can see how that would affect Jokic in the sense of like, well, I can't kick this out because he's not going to make it, so I just gotta put this up myself. And he gets into these bad shots, and Cameron Johnson needs to be better. And a guy who I really like, who whenever he seems to get his chance, maybe has the game of his life, or quite possibly has the worst game of his life, Julian Strawther. um, 0 points, 0 of 2 from three, 0 of 3 overall, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 assists, and 1 foul in 15 minutes. Almost unplayable this game, just borderline unplayable. Tim Hardaway Jr., as much as I dislike Tim Hardaway Jr., I think Tim Hardaway Jr. probably should have gotten the start that game. 16 points, 4 of 7 from three, 2 rebounds. Actually, like valuable this game. Jonas Valanciunas, a stinker of a game, 6 points in 8 minutes, only 2 rebounds. Just wasn't playable this game, just awful. And yeah, the Nuggets just didn't have enough. And even though the Thunder were completely 100% healthy either, they the Nuggets just couldn't take advantage of it. And I think this is a game you definitely put in. You file this one away for in a few weeks when you have the playoff bracket and you know when you're going to play them, and you take this game and say we cannot have another game like this. This was embarrassing, and it was it was borderline sad because Jamal Murray went out there and had a flu game of 30, almost 40 points, and you lost this game. And it's like, why the hell did he even play? You know. Um, so Oklahoma City Thunder got the win, 127 to Denver Nuggets, 121 in overtime. Oklahoma City improves to 46-15 as a whole, and 25-7 at home. And the Denver Nuggets um, managed to get to 37-23 after this game. Next game I want to talk about here. We'll get through this one a little bit faster because I do want to keep this a little bit shorter for you guys. Next game, the San Antonio Spurs versus the New York Knicks. New York Knicks won this game 114 to the San Antonio Spurs, 89 points. This was a very important win for the New York Knicks against a very competitive, very young, very athletic. Um, when they're hitting right, they're possibly the second best team in the NBA, San Antonio Spurs, and the New York Knicks won this game comfortably. All the starters in double digits. 12 points for OG Anunoby, 12 points for Karl-Anthony Towns, 10 for Josh Hart, 25 for Mikal Bridges, and 24 for Jalen Brunson. Mikal Bridges is your leading scorer for the New York Knicks that game. Off the bench, Mohamed Diawara, 14, leading the bench players in scoring, also almost leading them in rebounding as well. Really good game for Mohamed. Landry Shamet, 7 points, also had a really crazy dunk in that game. And then, yeah, the Knicks just they got their head right. And I said this in my last week's video when I talked about it. I feel like they finally have their head right. Everything has sort of been kiboshed, all the rumors and all everything. This is your team. These are the guys you have to go into the playoffs with. And for what it is, the Jeremy Shohan thing might not work out. Who cares? He might have a game or two in the playoffs. Um, the Jose Alvarado thing is good in moments like it usually is. That's fine. Um, if Mohamed Diawara can be the backup for the backup and Mitchell Robinson, or they can play together, that's a great sign. Landry Shamet is a playoff guy. That's fine. And if you have this whole team healthy and Mikal Bridges can be Mikal Bridges again, and I'm not saying give me 25 a night, but give me like 18, 19, 20 a night. Jalen Brunson can have an off night then. Karl-Anthony Towns can have sort of a quiet night. But if you have just enough offensively, and you have guys like Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, who are playing real high level defense again, especially OG Anunoby having to guard Victor Wembanyama, who's basically a foot taller than him, just digging in on him, just getting low and just stopping him from getting the ball where he wants it. That's the smart stuff to do. That's the good things to do to wear out Wemby. Even though you can see right here, where is it? Where's the Oh, there's the dunk right there in the middle. You can see Victor Wembanyama over OG Anunoby right there. Even though Victor is gonna have some explosive plays and like just wow, ooh, wow, sort of plays. Um, you can wear him down a little bit. Make sure he doesn't have too crazy of a game. Let the others try to beat you, and that's the recipe. And I think that's something the Knicks can take in almost any playoff series with the defenders they have and with um, just a little bit of offense from everybody. And then maybe, Mikal or Jalen or Karl has a really big game. That really helps. And I don't know uh, if Mike Brown is going to be great in his first playoff series as the Knicks head coach, but that's where we're trending with less than 2 months left in the season, and that's where he's going to have to prove himself. The regular season doesn't really matter when you're the New York Knicks coach. It doesn't matter when you're the Lakers coach. It doesn't matter when you're um, the Spurs coach. When you're at these high level positions, when you're the head coach of these like legendary franchises, the regular season doesn't matter. It's the playoffs that matter. And talking about the San Antonio Spurs, this was just an awkward game, a weird game. Victor Wembanyama looked comfortable in moments, but probably the most uncomfortable I've seen him in a fair bit in a while. 25 points, 13 rebounds, only made 1 3 on the night, 8 of 17 overall from field goal, 7 turnovers, and 2 personal fouls. Not his most impressive performance. Just enough to keep them competitive, but like not really. I mean, like he's the only guy in like 20 points on this team. Stephon Castle, 13. Devin Vassell, 18. Devin Vassell did well this game, 3 of 9 from three. He was the best 3 point shooter that night, so take that for how you will. Um, Julian Champagnie, 3 points. I mean, Julian Champagnie is just so like hit or miss, and I like Julian Champagnie. I like the vibes that he brings, but is this guy really gonna be your starter like in the playoffs? I don't know. And then like De'Aaron Fox, kind of a very I'm not gonna say kind of a very disappointing game. 7 points, 1 of 6 from three, 3 of 10, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. Like I don't know. Um, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. Um, I like Mitch Johnson, the coach of the Spurs. I really do. I don't know if he's the guy for this group. I don't know if he's one of those bridge the gap coaches where he's like he's if the Spurs want to go to the next level, they actually have to go get a high level coach, or are they going to wait for Mitch Johnson to become a good coach? And will Mitch Johnson ever be a really good coach, or is he just going to be like a Victor Wembanyama like merchant, as people would say, just thrive off Victor Wembanyama, and then the Spurs go as Victor Wembanyama goes, and That's really it. I don't think that's the way it should be. You have so much talent on this team, and you have so much untapped talent on this team that that just can't be the norm. And getting beat by this Knicks team that literally just turned the page when you maybe could have gotten them, a bit disappointing. Bit disappointing. Spurs sit at 43 and 17 right now, and the New York Knicks at 39 and 22. So yeah, last game here we'll talk about fully. Um, the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Denver Nuggets. The Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Nuggets in a playoff atmosphere game. None of the extracurriculars that the Thunder game had versus the Nuggets, but just the intensity, just the stuff both teams are trying, both offensively and defensively, really gave a playoff vibe. Minnesota Timberwolves got the win, 117 to the Denver Nuggets, 108, and that was thanks to everybody pitching in the starting lineup for the Minnesota Timberwolves. 14 for Julius Randle, 20 for Jaden McDaniels, 17 for Dante DiVincenzo. It feels like Dante DiVincenzo always has a good game versus the Nuggets. And then 21 for Anthony Edwards. Um, again, his shot making has gone to another level this year. I talked about the three he made in the last game they played that I talked about. It was over two defenders, and he just was fading away into the corner and just made it. And like 2 or 3 years ago, he probably wouldn't have made that. You probably be like, that's a bad shot. But now he's like comfortable taking those shots and comfortable shooting over like two people. If whether it's in a zone or they're sending two at him, blitzing him, or he dribbles into two defenders. He's just comfortable hitting that shot now, and it's very it's I hate to say it because I don't say this. It's very Kobe esque. It's very like okay, I guess I'm just gonna shoot this and it's gonna go in. Very very Kobe Bryant esque. Off the bench, 11 points for Naz Reid. He was the biggest guy in crunch time for them. Bones Highland pitched in with a healthy 18 points, and Ayo Sumo 9 points for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And now to the Denver Nuggets, where again I said the through line through both these games that the Nuggets have played, they need Aaron Gordon, man. They especially this game, they needed Aaron Gordon. It was bad. It was bad. Whenever it was like a big to big connection for the Timberwolves, whether it was like Rudy Gobert cleaning up the glass with 15 rebounds, whether it was Julius Randle getting downhill and just bullying his way into the paint, it, it was there was nobody to stop those guys. Like when Nikola Jokic was on the bench, and it was like Jonas Valanciunas, who hasn't had the best stretch of games. It was uh, Zeke Naji. It was like Cam Johnson. Like those guys aren't. I'm not the biggest Julius Randle fan, but those guys aren't stopping Julius Randle. I'm sorry. Even though Julius didn't have a fantastic game, like a mind blowing game, 14 points on the night, 9 rebounds, um, 7 defensive rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds. You need something a bit better to stop Julius Randle, at least from like collecting on like second chance points or just getting downhill or getting a missed shot from his own shot. Like you need to do better. And Jokic had a standard night: 35 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists, 5 turnovers. Hit some crazy shots, but like it wasn't enough. Jamal Murray, I guess, was feeling slightly better: 25 points, 39 minutes, 5 assists, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. Christian Braun, 15 points, looking again more and more like himself, but still, come on. The most disappointing guy of the night, um, Cameron Johnson, man. I don't know how this guy is going to be playable in the playoffs. I genuinely don't know how. And coming into the season, I thought Cameron Johnson was going to fit beautifully. I thought he was going to fit perfectly. I thought it was going to be like a puzzle piece just going in right. He was the last puzzle piece to go right into the puzzle, and it would create a beautiful picture. And it's like you lost the piece, or it didn't come with the piece. You got a puzzle, and like you're looking for the last piece, and you're shaking the box, and you're shaking the bag, and you're looking in the trash see if you threw it out by accident, and there was just no last piece. It was a misprint. It was a factory mistake. He just hasn't been able to get going, and it's very disappointing. And I don't want to be so hyperbolic, but if the Nuggets fail early in the playoffs, it's going to be on a guy like Cam Johnson going 0 of 4 from 3, 0 of 6 overall, which is what he did this game. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty. And I hate that for him because he was really. I loved him when he was a Phoenix Sun. I like what he did in Brooklyn when he was one of the guys, like one of the top 2 options on that team, a really bad team, but he got a taste of being a top 2 option, and now he's back in a playoff situation, and he's just not there. The lights are on, but like nobody's home, and he's scared to like take these shots when he's being contested. It's like that's a playoff shot. You need to take that now because it's the regular season, and they're not like closing out hard. But playoff time come, they're gonna be like flying at you. You play this Timberwolves team. This is exactly what's gonna happen again. It's exactly what's gonna happen, and maybe Aaron Gordon will open up the floor for them, and the pressure won't be on Cam Johnson. But we saw we saw Aaron Gordon do it last year where he played through an injury and he got lucky that he didn't get injured any further. But like you can't put it all on Jokic, you can't put it all on Aaron Gordon, you can't put it all on Jamal Murray. You just can't. Guys like Christian Braun and Cameron Johnson need to subsidize these guys scoring and the passing and the playmaking and the ball movement that this team creates and it likes to do on a night in, night out basis. And Cam Johnson specifically hasn't been able to do it. So yeah, that's it. That's my whole spiel for this game. Timberwolves win 117 to Denver Nuggets 108. Nuggets regress in a back-to-back loss to 37 and 24 overall and 16 and 12 at home. And then Minnesota Timberwolves hitting their stride right when they should with their midseason acquisitions, with everybody healthy. They've been one of the healthiest teams in the West and in the league, period. 38 and 23, and then 18 and 12 in away games. Now, for the last bit of news, so I can keep this relatively short. Boston Celtics won against the Philadelphia 76ers, 114 to the Philadelphia 76ers, 89. But the news is not about this game and how well they played, even though they did play very well. The news and the rumors came out today that Jason Tatum might return. There's a big buzz that Jason Tatum might return versus the Mavericks. I believe that's on Thursday or Friday. This rumor and this hearsay was um, uh, said by a source that I trust and a source that is very in tune with the Boston Celtics um, organization. Bill Simmons, former writer for ESPN, creator of ESPN 30 for 30, um, founder of Grantland, The Ringer, very reputable sports guy. He is the sports guy, the pod father, the podcast father, Bill Simmons. If anybody is saying he's going to come back, and I've listened to a lot of Bill Simmons over the past like decade essentially, and especially over the past 5 years, Bill doesn't say things that he doesn't know for like 100% of a fact. Um, and especially about Jason Tatum. He's been very off and on. Like I don't think he's gonna come back. I think he's gonna come back. Everything's looking like it's trending this way. He was doing 5-on-5 last week. And that was public knowledge. Everybody knew that, but that was just a Bill Simmons exclusive that he knew he was doing 5-on-5. But he was doing 5-on-5 with trainers. He did the G League thing a couple weeks ago. This would be huge for the Boston Celtics. Now, I think this has the possibility to go very wrong very quickly, and not a diss towards Jason Tatum, but adding a guy like Jason could mess up the chemistry, could mess up the minutes, could mess up all these things, and it could look bad for Jason, and he could look fine, but like overall, him coming back might just we've like less than 2 months left, and like if he plays like every other game, maybe he plays like 10 games, it's gonna be weird, and I don't know if it's something they should do. Should they get Jason Tatum integrated back into the team as soon as possible? Yes. Is it a must that he needs to play and be impactful? No. Is there somewhere in between where he's kind of messes up what they got going on? There's a huge possibility for that. And um, the other note that I have here is that this would be the quickest turnaround for an Achilles injury and would like break new ground on players and any almost any sport returning from an Achilles injury. This would be unprecedented. It would be what would it be? Oh my god, it wouldn't even be like 12 months, would it? Oh my, so wait, so he got injured. Oh yeah, maybe no, it wouldn't even be 12 months. No, it would be unprecedented. I just want to put it would be unprecedented for Jason Tatum to come back. So yeah, will it happen? There's news from Shams Charania. I'm looking at this article, but there's a thing from Shams that he's been cleared to go play 5-on-5 scrimmages, full 5-on-5 And it says right here actually he underwent surgery in May, so it hasn't even been it hasn't even been a year. So like this would be groundbreaking, and I think it does have some negatives that come with it, adding a guy like Jason Tatum. But overall, I think this would be amazing for Jason. It would be amazing for the Celtics organization on the surface level, and we'll see what happens if he does actually play. If he does play, we'll talk about it. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. Let me know if you guys want an intro video on the channel, like a little intro teaser sort of thing on the channel. Or if you just like the way the layout is now on the channel. If you want to check out my whole channel, you can click my name um, right below the video. Just scroll on down, click my name, check out the layout. And while you're down there, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Cheers.